Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app. It's great to have you aboard, Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo. And we have, of course, the YouTube and Facebook live streams up for your viewing pleasure, and the Facebook page, which you can follow for daily and regular updates. And, of course, there's the app, and Apple and Android CarPlay and Auto. Really good stuff. So there you have it. Good stuff today. We got a lot to get to, Rich. First of all, how's is it like super cold up there?
Getting there. It's cold today and the wind doesn't help, but it's going to be like -5 overnight. Pretty cold tomorrow.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked, because we're due down here. We're due a low of like 1 and 0 degrees tomorrow and Saturday. So,
yeah, we're like -5 and -3 or something.
Yeah, that's what I figured it would be a little bit less. Yep. All right. Well,
we just have to be a little colder.
Well, yes, that's Buffalo's pride and joy. That's what you guys do.
It's not my pride and joy. Probably doesn't. It contributes to the way I feel, and that's not good.
Well, there you go. So one thing that could warm things up a little bit, the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks tonight. This is the first time they're playing this year, which is hard to believe.
I know. Usually divisional games they'll start them early.
Yeah, I mean, this is they're not a same division, but they're same conference. They're one division over.
Yeah, conference games.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is surprising, and they're a traditional rival.
Right.
So, but this game is kind of where I wanted to start today. This is an important game for the Knicks. They've sort of hit another speed bump a little bit. They haven't looked great as of late. We broke down sort of Randall's breakdown and reversion to old bad habits at the end of the Laker game the other day. And the flip side is Miami's playing maybe its most consistent ball of the year. Still not a super impressive team, but they're certainly impressive defensively. And against a struggling Knicks team, that could compound and make this really ugly, which is why I think this is such an important game for the Knicks. They need to snap out of it now. And even if they lose this game, if they look good in the loss and you don't see some of those same mistakes, there's not a moral victory, but it's something you can build on. But if they go out there and make the mistakes they've been making of late offensively, particularly late in games, they're going to look really, really bad against a Miami defense that is one of the more opportunistic in the NBA. This offense for Miami is well chronicled to not be very good. So a lot of their points come off the opportunistic defense that we're talking about here. And ultimately, I think this is a big, important game for the Knicks. I really do, Rich.
I agree. It's a very important game. This is the kind of game where you need to make a statement. This is the place to do it. This is the time to do it. You don't want this Heat team who can play with anyone defensively. I mean, offensively, they're like watching paint dry, but they can play with anyone defensively. You don't want this team to get too many games ahead of you.
No, you don't. And the other thing is, and I don't care what athletes and coaches say, there's certain games that feel different than others, that mean something a little bit more and a little bit different than others. And this is one of those games. This game has traditional rivalry written all into it. I mean, other than really the legendary rivalries in this league, Lakers and Celtics, and maybe like one or two others. I mean, Heat and Knicks, even though it was pretty much only created in like a 5-year period, is really etched in a lot of minds of both fan bases as really bitter. Your fans are going to be pumped up for this one. This game is in New York. They're going to be rabid. There's going to be energy in the building. And this is the type of loss that can not turn the fans against you, but make them a little irritable for the next several home games. This is the type of game that if you lose to the Heat, particularly if you look bad doing it, your next few home games could be less of a home court advantage because the fans could. This is the type of game they're going to think about for a little while if it goes bad. So
Yes.
it's an important game for building that home court advantage. If you're the Knicks, I don't think it matters quite as much to Miami. They're not home. 2, they're playing better, and 3, they've obviously been by far the more consistent franchise. But ultimately, I think this game means a lot to the Knicks, and it means something to the Heat because obviously you want to win every game, particularly rivalry games. But also,
Right.
their good play that we were just talking about is precarious and very recent at best. They're not well established in this mode by any stretch. I mean, one fall off could very easily bring them back to the sort of blah team that we've watched most of the year prior to this last couple of weeks. So I think this is an important game in general.
I do too. I don't worry about that though with them because there's a saying: offense is flaky, defense is consistent.
Yes.
If you play consistent defense, you're going to cause trouble. They're 29 and 23. They're 2 full games ahead of the Knicks, who are 27 and 25. The Knicks can ill afford to lose this game, even more than the Heat.
Yes.
You don't want to get down. You don't want to get down to that 8th spot by Atlanta, who's right on your tail. In fact, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are 10, 11, 12, and 13 games out.
Right. Yeah, you want
to get back into that 6.
Yes, for the standings purposes, you're absolutely right. That is super important. I totally agree. And there's a lot of reasons. Now let's break this game down a little bit from a matchup standpoint, shall we? Key injury in this one is the absence of Mitchell Robinson. The one thing the Heat do reasonably well offensively, at least Jimmy Butler does, and Bam Adebayo, those two, is attack the basket. And
yes,
without Mitchell Robinson, that's going to be a challenge to defend. So I would look for Hartenstein to have maybe bigger minutes than normal in this game. This is a Heat team that you can get away with playing a little bit bigger and bulkier against. They don't have a lot of shooters. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hartenstein was flirting with that 30-minute mark tonight, 26, 27 minutes. That wouldn't surprise me.
He should be doing it anyway.
It's just that against a lot of teams with the way they spread out, he does struggle in space and it limits your ability to switch on high pick and rolls. That's why I think he struggles to stay on the court against a lot of teams. This won't be one of them, though. I mean, realistically, is Bam their best shooter? Like, he might be. Like,
Hero is.
Well, Hero, yeah. Hero. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Hero's their best shooter. But, Hartenstein's not going to be guarding Hero. But
right. Bam's an improved shooter.
He is.
When he first came into the league, he was layups and dunks.
Yep.
And now he'll go out and pop a 17-footer. Yep. He doesn't force that issue, which I'm glad about.
Yeah, so breaking this down from a matchup standpoint, I think the Knicks are going to have a significant advantage at the point guard spot. Brunson's going to roast whoever is guarding him there. I'm pretty confident about that.
Yeah, and it'll probably have to, I don't know.
Is it going to be Lowry?
It might have to be Butler, and he won't roast him.
No, he won't roast Butler, but if Butler's guarding Brunson, that
takes a lot away from Butler's offense.
And it's going to open up Barrett, because now who's going to guard Barrett? I mean, I guess I'd rather Barrett beat me than Brunson, but Barrett's capable. If I put Lowry on Barrett, that's not a good matchup.
Oh, you're just asking for a scoring out.
Right.
The thing is, Barrett needs one.
He
needs to reestablish himself.
Yes.
He has not been.
You're right about that.
What I've wanted to see.
Yeah, he's gotten lost recently. For a few games, him playing off the ball was working brilliantly, and it led me to say that trio was really coming together nicely. But now that off the ball has seemed to get him off his game. He seems to just kind of get lost. He doesn't move a lot right now. He kind of finds a corner and kind of camps out there. He's becoming way too stationary. I think he has to force himself to relocate off the ball more frequently than he's been doing, even if it feels contrived and manufactured a little bit right now. I think he needs to do that to get himself back in the habit of moving without the ball, because that's where he was getting a lot of his points off the ball, was when he was moving and creating cross matchups and getting lost in the shuffle and getting layups and dunks and baseline driving opportunities through that type of motion. And right now he's just standing around, which is helping the defense.
Right. And I do not like that aspect of this game. And that's something that has to be changed. I want him more like Rip Hamilton.
That's how he has to play. Yes.
I want him on the move.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not going to be to pop threes. It's going to be for mid range. It's going to be to get in the lane.
Right.
There's opportunities Barrett can exploit that not only is the team not exploiting them, but he's not either.
Right. No, you're right.
He can't be stationary.
No, then that's the
And
problem.
he's way too good to be.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I would like to see Barrett shooting about 4 threes or less per game, 3 to 4 threes per game, mostly in those corners. Because I want to see him like you do. I want to see him on curls. I want to see him on pick and pops. I want to see him on, maybe triple threat or high post opportunities off of the weak side action of Barrett and Randall, and Brunson. I mean,
Brunson, yeah.
There's a lot of different ways to use him, and at times they've done that successfully this year. So I know it's in their playbook, but Barrett has fallen into this sort of malaise, I'll call it, of just kind of standing around, and that's just really hurting this Knick offense right now in a big way, and it's of course killing his offense.
Yes, and it shows. It shows just by the fact they're not getting as many good looks as they were before. And this was kind of paramount in the Laker game too. They have to keep that flow to the offense. If they don't, points are going to be hard to come by. They're not a huge scoring team to begin with.
Not.
The trade-off is they are so good defensively.
Yes. But so is their opponent. Their opponent's even better than them defensively in this particular
Their
game.
opponent, I think, is the best defensive team in the league.
I still give the edge to the Cavs in that department, but I'm not going to argue too heavily. But I like the Cavs defense mostly because I like their front court depth.
Yeah. Oh, their defense is very good.
But yes.
But this Miami one, changes, switches, and movement.
Yep.
Are the 3 biggest things to me that differentiate their defense from almost anyone else's. And I know it took them a while to get there.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
I don't see it changing.
Oh no. One last thing I'll say about this game is the one thing you want to do if you're the Knicks is you want to keep the Miami Heat off the free throw line too. This is one of the best free throw shooting teams in the NBA. It's about the only thing they do good offensively. They make their free throws, almost 83% of them, which is a pretty insane percentage.
Hero doesn't miss.
Never.
It's amazing.
Is he like 93% or something? Stupid like that?
He's some ridiculous mark. Butler is consistently good, and so is Lowry.
Yep. And Bam is a decent free throw shooter too.
He is. He's improved that part of his game as well.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you're the Knicks, you got to guard without fouling in this game, because really against a team like this, which goes through such struggles offensively so regularly, but is so good from the free throw line, those are donations. You like, if you keep them off the line, if you keep the Heat to like, what are we gonna say? Maybe under 15 or under attempts at the foul line, you're probably
you can get away with under 20. You're
gonna win most likely, because they're gonna have a hard time scoring over 100 if they don't get 15 to 20 free throw attempts.
Right.
I think that would be the number on my blackboard if I was Thibodeau. We're trying to keep them at 15 or less free throw attempts, and if that's a little aggressive and they get 17, I still like our chances. But you don't want them shooting 23, 25 free throws.
Right. Because it's like you said, with a team that struggles offensively, don't give them gifts.
That's gifts, yeah, and they make all those. Yeah, like that's the one thing. If I was coaching this game, that would be like, every coach I've ever played for or worked with had 2 types of pet peeves. They had standing pet peeves, things that always bothered them, and they had situational pet peeves, things that bothered them in particular games. If I was coaching this Knicks team today, that would be my biggest pet peeve. If I saw a dumb foul, I would pull the guy for a minute or two and like yell at him and let him sit on it for a second. Because right now, against this team, if we don't foul them, I don't believe they can score enough to beat us. That's how I'm posing my game plan to my guys today if I'm coaching the Knicks. They can't beat us if we don't give them free throws. If they only get 8 or 10 points from the free throw line, 12 points from the free throw line, they're not winning this game. That's what I'm telling our guys.
Agreed.
And so if it was me, that would be my situational pet peeve for today. If you're Miami, the one thing you want to do is kind of the opposite. You want to try to establish Jimmy Butler downhill, maybe in transition. That's the one area where I'm still waiting for Miami to improve a little bit offensively. They have that great defense that you were just talking about. They don't create as many turnovers as you would think. But the ones they do create often lead to good transition opportunities. So I think that's an area where they could still eke out a few more points consistently than they've managed to do to this point in the year. And that would be something I would be focusing on if I was Spoelstra. Get a couple more turnovers and turn more of those into points.
When they get turnovers, there's a pretty good percentage of scoring opportunities that come off of them.
Right.
But you are right. They don't create enough of them.
Yeah, they don't create as many as a defense is that good. You would expect a defense that good to create. They don't create as many as you'd expect.
Right. And especially with a team that plays the way they do offensively, you want every opportunity to score.
Yeah, you need free throws and layups, and fast break opportunities with those type of teams. That's what you need. One other thing, and then we'll take our first break. We got the question of the day coming up next. But one other thing that I think would be an interesting evolution of this Miami offense, and this is probably something for next year. You're not going to do this mid-season, but I have this vision in my head. No, it's not sugar plums.
Oh, thank God.
I agreed. But I have this vision in my head of having Tyler Hero as sort of a point forward as the next evolution of his game because he's such a dangerous shooter and penetrator. If you put the ball in his hands in a triple threat, high pick and roll type of situation, and he can develop that skill, this would add a whole different dynamic and dimension to an otherwise fairly ordinary offense.
Oh, I agree completely. I have no doubt either that he can develop that skill. His handle's good enough. Yep. His hops are amazing.
Yeah, he's really athletic.
And he could get to where he needs to go.
Yeah.
And defenses don't seem to deter him that much.
They don't. Yeah, if I was his coaches in the offseason, whether it's his private guys, the team coaches, whoever he's working with, that would be the focus of my offseason to come back next year ready to really add that wrinkle. Because I'll tell you what, he's their best offensive player right now. I think he's an even better offensive player than Butler. I really do.
I do too.
And you add that to him, he's an NBA All-Star, ready to go. I mean, the guy's right on the cusp of being a perennial All-Star, I believe. The guy is really, really good.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
And that would push him over the top.
I think so too. All right, who do you got tonight? Let's take a pick in this one real quick since we broke it down so thoroughly.
The Knicks.
Me too.
I think they need the game more, a lot more.
I agree. I totally agree.
Those 7 to 10 spots, everyone says, "Oh, you should be happy that it means you're in." That means you're in a hell realm. You want to stay out of it.
Yeah, I don't want to play Boston and Milwaukee in the first round if I can help it. Thank you very much. I'd much rather play,
if you're lucky to get not get a hot, name it, Atlanta, Chicago, anyone who can just light it up for one night.
Right.
Because that's all it takes.
Exactly.
I mean, and a perfect example of that is Cleveland. Look at the year they had last year.
Yep, absolutely.
Injuries put them into that spot, and they lost.
Mm-hmm. Man, I'll tell you something, though. The East is so loaded this year, just up and down. As I'm saying, I don't want to play Milwaukee or Boston in the first round. But then I'm thinking, well, who would I want to play if I'm the Knicks in the first round? I can't really think of a real answer. I don't want to play Philly that much. I don't want to play Cleveland. I don't want to play probably this team, honestly. If I'm the Knicks, this is probably the team I feel most comfortable in being able to beat in this series of Eastern contenders is probably this Miami team.
Agreed. And I don't feel that comfortable.
No, you don't feel great about it, but at least you know that if you can play your offensive game and get your 112 or so, get your average, if you can hit your average, which I think the Knicks are at like 114, if you hit 114 against the Heat, you feel pretty good that that's enough to win most nights.
Absolutely.
But of course, it's a tall order because of the defense. So anyway, but yeah,
Right.
we both got the Knicks. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do the question of the day. A lot more to get to. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
On your next flight, then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines, plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on. You watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then, if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
The PGA Tour will be using U.S. Integrity's anti-fraud software to double down on its efforts to prevent betting corruption and match manipulation during tour events. I am KO, back in a minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. Managing your diabetes is crucial to your health. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home
The NFL is offering a new take on the Pro Bowl. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. Managing your diabetes is crucial to your health. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home delivery and do all the insurance paperwork for you. Now is the best time to manage your diabetes better and get your continuous glucose monitor. Call now for details. Call 800-438-1391. 800-438-1391. 800-438-1391. That's 800-438-1391. Paid for by U.S. Med.
The NFL is trying its luck with a revamped Pro Bowl. This season's offering will pit the conferences against each other in a series of skills competitions, culminating in a flag football game. No tackling, no blocking. Basically, it's the Pro Bowl with flags. But there is one thing that will be different: the scoring. Each conference can earn points by winning skills competitions and by logging victories in each of the first 2 games. Those points will be added and then used as the score at the beginning of the final game. Question: is your money on the AFC or the NFC?
There is no way I'm putting any money on line with the Pro Bowl. You kidding me? Oh God, I have better things to do with my money. Like start a fire to roast marshmallows.
Why would anyone want to bet on this game?
You know what? That is the making of a Jeff Foxworthy skit. You might be a gambling addict if, God, what a mess that would be. Betting on this, I'm sorry. That is as clear-cut a sign of degenerate gambling as drinking warm vodka on a Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock at your desk is being an alcoholic. There's only one person that does either, an absolute hardcore alcoholic or an absolute gambling addict. You are absolutely not in control of anything if you're betting this game. You're an absolute lunatic.
I feel that way if you're betting on preseason games. Forget the Pro Bowl.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, Pro Bowl, preseason. Dylan's in the comments saying he's got 500 on this game. We're not talking about the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the Pro Bowl here, Dylan. People betting on the Pro Bowl. Yeah, betting on the Super Bowl is a whole different ball game because you're going to get an actual ball game. Obviously, both teams are going to be trying to win. It's the ultimate
Everybody
prize.
bets on the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the Pro Bowl. If you're betting on the Pro Bowl, you got a major gambling problem. Or you're just so rich you have nothing to do with yourself. And as my buddy Richie says, I'm rich in name only.
I second that.
But I will say, moving on from the question, just to kind of take a corollary for a second, I am kind of intrigued. I have to give the NFL some props here. They're trying to do things a little bit out of the box here, trying to create some, at least, if nothing else, morbid curiosity about this. I didn't realize until I heard that question that getting points in the preliminary events, we'll call them, actually carry over and can give you a lead to start the game. I think that's kind of cool to kind of tie it all together. It's at least novel. So I like the approach by the NFL. I like the experimentation. So that to me is really cool. And I think could be the, if not the end all and be all for making this more of an attractive event, it could be the starting point. I could see them hitting on something that works surprisingly well that they can in future Pro Bowls iterate and refine and kind of double down on. I like the general track the NFL has put itself on with this otherwise relatively useless event this year. They're trying stuff that I think has the potential of maybe popping along the way.
Yeah, the game is, no matter what, is always going to be an afterthought.
Right, exactly. So it's like, how do you make the overall day interesting? And I think the fact that they're going to allow the winners of the skill competitions those points to carry into the game gives the game a fighter's chance of getting a few of the people that were maybe watching for the skills, watching maybe the beginning of the game because the results of the skills competitions influenced the start. Like, so that was a smart play by them. I think they did an interesting, imaginative job with this. And it's a tough situation. Look, it's just not an attractive thing for regular fans. It's just not. No all-star game really is. There's elements of all that are somewhat attractive. Like when the NFL used to do like the 40-yard dash competition, which I think they'll probably do in the skills competition this year. That I always watch. I always thought it was cool that like Darryl Green was like 50 and he was dusting dudes. Like that was awesome.
Yeah.
And like with the NBA, I always watch the 3-point shooting contest. Of the skills competitions, that's always my favorite. They did, and I wish they did this again. They did a couple of years, they had like from one franchise, they would have a current player, a legend, and a WNBA player.
Yes.
And I thought that was cool.
They stopped that a while ago.
Yeah, I used to enjoy that.
And that was actually fun. I used to enjoy the passing drills and stuff in the skills competition, the ball handling. But I mean, they've made it so vanilla now where I know it's too much to ask some of these guys to throw a bounce pass.
Oh, yeah, don't do that.
And that's boring to me. The dunk contest hasn't been exciting for years. And yeah, my favorite thing too is the 3-point shooting. And I do miss some of the other stuff they've done.
You know, the biggest thing, and I'm gonna harp on this until I'm blue in the face in all Pro Bowls and All-Star games. Let's do an old timers game. That would be the ultimate thing to get people watching. It really would be. And in basketball and baseball in particular, it's pretty safe to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I understand not doing it in football, but why not do an old timer skill thing in football? You know, don't do a game, but have Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens go out there catching passes from a jug machine or something. Like, there's no harm in that. That would be awesome.
No one takes the right steps to involve their former players. No league does.
No, they don't. And
it's a shame because they should.
Baseball's the closest because there's certain teams in baseball that do it right. Really, the Yankees and the Mets do this well. The Dodgers do it well. And the Red Sox are like ebb and flow with this. At times they do it really well. At times they don't. It seems to change with the seasons. But like as a whole, the leagues don't do a great job with this, but baseball does by far the best job of the three, in my opinion.
Agreed.
So, but yeah, I'm not, if you're betting on this game, getting back to the original question, you know, what's that number? 88 Hope NY. Yeah, you need to speed dial that, baby.
Yeah, you do.
It's like that's a sign right there. But no, overall, look, I'm looking forward to it. We got a lot to get to. We continue our NBA trade deadline build up. We did the Knicks, we did the Nets, and we did the Sixers already. We're gonna finish the Atlantic Division today with the Raptors and the Celtics, and move into the Heat division. Well, I guess we'll do Miami. So we'll kind of continue on with that. Of course, we have news you can use, the top 5. We got some NBA games to get to. Little news in the NFL, specifically fallout from Brady's retirement that we didn't touch on yesterday. How does this shake up the quarterback carousel landscape? Specifically, 2 guys you're looking at, Rodgers and Carr. It had been the 3 of them. Now there's only 2. It might make their value higher. It might change the teams that are looking at them. So we'll break that down as well. Back after this, we're going to do the trade deadline stuff. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave.
Wait. Brady retired.
Yeah. You in here?
Again?
We did this yesterday.
He February 1st.
Yes.
That's the same day he retired last year.
Really?
Nobody's making a big deal out of this.
I didn't even notice it was the same date on the calendar. That's pretty funny.
What if he comes back?
Yeah, well, I guess that's always possible. See, this time I felt he was retiring. I got this sense that he's going to try to get his family back. That maybe it's not too far gone.
Like Liam Neeson in every movie ever made.
That's right. And he
wants his family back.
And I certainly hope he manages to do that if that's indeed what he's trying to do. Because
I also think, who was it, Rappaport or one of those guys, kind of blew the announcement up before he made it. He may have just wanted to do it on his own terms.
Right. Yeah, that's possible, but we'll see.
Which he did this year.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I just wonder.
Yeah, we'll see.
Although right. I hope what you said is true.
Yeah, that's just the feeling I get. So I hope I'm right. Anyway, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll do the trade deadline stuff. NBA, we're doing Raptors, Celtics, and Heat today here on the Gary Ayd Show on the Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All right, so before we get to the NBA trade stuff, here's an interesting little factoid. This is according to Sportskeeda, the baseball vertical of that site. Two-time World Series champion Mookie Betts is attempting to qualify for the PBA's U.S. Open. That's the Professional Bowlers Association at Royal Pin Woodland in Indy. And reportedly, he is tied with the number one bowler in the world. This is a half hour ago this was shared.
Wow.
So apparently Mookie Betts can seriously bowl. Which, by the way, it sounds silly, like it's a dating game or whatever, and it is. But if you ever really tried to bowl, it's friggin' hard.
Yeah, it is not easy just to walk in and start doing it.
No, it's hard. I mean, like, it's really difficult. I mean, it's not as hard as golf, but it's hard enough. It's plenty hard.
Chris Paul is also a very good bowler.
Yeah.
Who's done a lot of charity stuff and some pro-ams.
You know, typically,
I can see a lot of these guys having downtime during a season or an off season, and I can see how they would actually have the time and the resources to get good at it.
Yep, and probably the hand-eye coordination and the wrist and arm strength, all that stuff that goes into it. Yeah,
right.
I mean, the thing is, like with bowling too, it's like it's a very precise game. Like you really have to know angles and speeds. It's a very important. It's a very precise game. So anyway, that's pretty cool. And usually those short and stout guys tend to be the best bowlers. It's not a sport that it doesn't surprise me that Chris Paul is the basketball player that is excelling at bowling and not like Giannis. Typically, it's the short and stout guys that tend to be the best bowlers.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of 7-footers bowl.
Yeah, or even guys much over 6 feet or so. Like usually the guys who are good bowlers are like 6'3" and under.
David DeBusschere was a very good bowler, and he was 6'6".
Yeah, he was a big guy. Yep.
But he was also a baseball player.
Right.
So
yes. So there you go. All right. So diving into these trade deadline stories.
Okay, let's start with the Celtics.
They don't need a lot.
No, I might want to see another backup big go in there.
Yep.
They're over $23 million into the luxury tax. It's going to be hard to get somebody back. If they do make a move, it's probably going to be for a second line player. They'll probably give up some draft picks. Shot in the dark. How about Gallinari being thrown into a trade to make money work? He's not going to play until the playoffs if he does. And
right.
They may feel they need a big more.
Yeah, I mean, who would take on an injured player, I mean, it would have to be another playoff team, right? Or a team that's looking at him as an important addition for next year.
He's on a 1-year deal.
Thank God I don't have to hear Gary talking about Miles Turner getting traded anymore. Well, look, man, I didn't make that up. But yeah, I understand. You're a Pacers fan, so I get it.
Well, they said he's going nowhere anyway.
Yeah, well.
Now that they've signed him, they're not interested in trading.
Well, that's exactly what he's referring to in his comment. That's what he's saying. Yeah, so yeah, I get it. But I mean, if you're looking at bigs available, I mean, I don't even know that I would make a trade if I'm Boston. I would go out and look at, a Dwight Howard or DeMarcus Cousins. Either one of those guys for what they're going to need them for would be perfectly fine. I mean, because really all they need is someone who can be sort of a rim protector to kind of back up or fortify Horford and kind of be an insurance policy against the oft injured Robert Williams being out of the lineup so often. Like, you don't need a lot. Really, you need a big who can block some shots and protect the rim. You don't even really need a lot of rebounding from them, to be honest, because this team gang rebounds so effectively. I mean, both their wings get a lot of rebounds. Smart rebounds well for a guard. Horford still does his part. I mean, they don't need a ton of rebounding out of this person. They really need rim protection more than anything else.
And if they do, I think their best way to get it's by trade. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to just sign someone being as high into the luxury tax as they are.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, you're talking of, even if you're talking a veteran minimum, I guess it still has implications.
Yeah, it'll triple in the luxury tax.
Right. All right. Well, then let's take a look at
how about the Heat? Yeah. They're buyers.
Well, I was gonna say Toronto because we gotta finish that division. So, I mean, Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Toronto is probably, they could do anything. I would think they'd be selling.
I don't know. Are they buyers or sellers right now? It's kind of hard to pinpoint them.
I think
you can't put them in a category like you can say the Spurs.
Right. I think this team needs to shuffle the deck a little bit. I think they should probably trade Anunoby and get either a cache of picks or a young guard, a front court guy, like a true front court guy of some kind, if they can manage that. Like, if I were them, I would be calling up, say, Portland about Nurkic. Portland could use a guy like Anunoby. Portland doesn't know
and Nurkic is on the block for some reason.
Well, they don't know how to use him. So
there's two untouchables on that team, and that's Barnes and Siakam.
Yep.
Outside of Anunoby, Van Vliet's a trade asset too, because he's only on the next year's option, and that's $22.8 million. That's not outlandish for a starter.
No, it's really not.
And they have a lot of guys on short deals like Malachi Flynn, Thaddeus Young, and all of his deal isn't even guaranteed that they could use for salary matching.
Well, what about the Pacers? Dylan wants OG Anunoby back. He's a Hoosier alum, of course. So, what about the Pacers as a potential trade partner? Would you trade your boy Dylan, Miles Turner? See, you brought it on yourself here. I was done with it, but you brought it on yourself. Would you trade Miles for OG Anunoby?
Raptors are going to want a big.
That's what I'm saying. Miles.
I don't think they have one to give them.
Well, it would be Miles Turner.
He can still be traded.
Yeah, he can.
There's no poison pill in the contract. Like Tyler Hero has a poison pill.
And because they didn't sign him in the off season, it doesn't start that 50-day clock or whatever either, because he was re-signed in season 2 as retaining team.
But there's two untouchables on that team, and that's Halliburton and Mathurin.
Right.
Period.
Yep.
Two guys I know they're not going to move.
Correct. 100%.
But there's really nothing on the roster I think that would benefit Toronto except for Turner.
That's it, right?
And I honestly don't see them doing that because they might not be buyers. They may not be sellers.
I tell you what, that would make both teams a lot better. Well, it would certainly make Toronto a whole lot better. They need exactly what Turner would provide. They really do. But yeah, I agree. I don't think I said that mostly tongue in cheek because Dylan over here trying to start trouble and bring OG to Indiana. I said, well, trade your guy. See, the one thing you didn't want me talking about today, Dylan, it's all your fault. I started talking about it again. See what happens? Self-inflicted wounds, my friend. Self-inflicted wounds. All right. So then, but I agree though. I think Toronto is gonna be a tough spot. My guess is if they do anything, they don't do an overt rebuild move or an overt fortify move. They do a shuffle move where they move one type of player for another.
I think they could move two. I think they could move Trent as well.
Yeah, that's possible.
I think it would be a separate deal.
Well, the Lakers have been rumored to be trying to attempt to get Gary Trent.
Yes.
You reported that a couple days ago.
Right. The question is what to give back, and that's always been the issue.
Yes. Let's talk about now Miami. This is a team that desperately needs some offensive scoring punch. Sticking with Indiana, Buddy Hield has been long rumored to be available. That's a type of player that I think would help Miami a lot. Good, efficient shooter. Doesn't need a lot of plays run for him, but finds a way to score points. Also, I don't know if he's really at home there or not, but I don't know if Malcolm Brogdon could potentially be available. Probably not. I think Boston's trying to gear up for the win. So, but like players like that, I think would be really beneficial to a team like Miami that could just use some scoring punch and spacing.
They need a couple things. They need to upgrade the forward rotation, so you need something there, and they do need some offense. How about looking at Eric Gordon in Houston?
Yeah, save Gordon. Free Gordon.
That's offense.
Yep, absolutely.
Depending on what you give them, I mean, a first-round pick might not be out of line. Throw in KJ Martin, and that solves the forward problem. They're only $185K below the luxury tax.
Just on the bubble.
So you'd want to give a piece back, maybe Dedmon, maybe Duncan Robinson.
Right.
That, to me, makes sense. I think Jordan Clarkson's too expensive.
Yeah, he's a little bit much, although he would really, really help Miami a lot.
He would, but the Heat has a history of not wanting to really overdo the luxury tax.
Right, yeah, that's true. Oh, but man, wouldn't he be just what the doctor ordered on that team, though?
Yeah, he would. They'd be scary.
Like, that would be just the guy. Honestly, if I could, I don't think I could pinpoint another person that would be more of a fit on any team than Clarkson would be on this Miami team. He would be exactly what they need. Like, to the letter.
I just don't see that one happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's unfortunate because, man, that could be – because I think there's a overall dearth of general understanding among most NBA fans of how dynamic a scorer this guy really is because he has played in either kind of backup roles or bad teams or small markets his whole career. Putting him
he played in LA, so yeah, how someone doesn't know
but that was a bad team and he was playing sort of a backup role, and that was a lot of years ago.
He was a sixth man. He got minutes.
He did, but that was again a bad team and a backup role. I think that he would benefit a lot from being showcased now on a winning team in a more significant kind of starters role or major role. I think there's a dearth of appreciation for how good of an offensive weapon he truly is.
See, I think he thrives in a sixth man role and still gets 30 minutes a night, somewhere near there. And I think this Miami team has no bench scoring.
Oh, zero. Them and Portland have probably the two worst benches in the NBA. They're awful.
Yeah.
They can't score at all.
Well, who knows if they can score? In Portland, it's Lillard taking all the shots.
Right. Yeah, it's Lillard and Simon, and that's
And
kind of it.
Simons.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
I mean, some of your starters don't get shots.
No shots here, folks. I remember years ago, that was one of the things that Cowherd would always talk about is one of the reasons that LeBron often built quote unquote super teams is because star players wanted to play with them because you got shots, the ball moved. Whereas other star players who at the time, guys like Tracy McGrady and Gilbert Arenas were still sort of in the forefront when he was giving this take. They're not ball movers. They're ball stickers. He mentioned Carmelo Anthony in that group. And I always thought that was interesting. He said,
Allen Iverson was in that group.
Allen Iverson. The analogy he used was a hotel. He said, no vacancy here, no shots available. Then LeBron's sign says vacancy, shots available. And I always remember that little bit he did. I thought that was very well done.
That's why players like playing with Magic, too.
Right.
When your best player is a great passer.
It makes a huge difference.
It does.
That's why role players are happy to go to Golden State because they move the ball. That they're a collectively good passing team. They're a great passing team collectively. That stuff absolutely. But I think Miami really could benefit from any number of the guys we talked about. And of these teams we're talking about today, the Celtics, the Heat, and the Raptors, I feel the most confident in Miami going to buy something of all of these three teams. I think they will be involved in some type of deadline deal. I would be relatively surprised if they did nothing. I really would.
True.
Because they're right on the bubble of if they do the right thing, they could go from a fringe contender to a like dark horse real contender. You know what I mean? Like they would.
I just think their options are limited.
They probably are, but I would.
But if I could bring Eric Gordon in on the cheap, I would do it.
Yep.
And if I have to give up a first and get another player in there, I would do that too, and pass along a bench guy to make salaries.
Here's another interesting one. I mean, I know he's been hurt a lot. What's John Wall's situation with the Clippers? Could he be potentially available? Because he might be an interesting piece for a team like Miami too.
I don't think they're going to make him available. They've got him for more than 1 year.
Yeah, that was a multi-year deal. That's right.
He's not a rental.
Yep.
And when he's played well. It's just a matter of, again, keeping him on the court.
Yep.
And that's the ultimate bubble wrap team.
There's a trade, and they don't have to go anywhere. They could just go between the locker rooms. The Clippers got to call up the Lakers. He'd be like, hey, we'll throw you a couple of bones for some of that bubble wrap you use on Davis. We need some for Wall.
You need some for Wall, for Kawhi, for George. They all need it.
Just make a bubble wrap factory in the back of Staples Center. It doesn't have to go anywhere that way.
Really?
Co-investment in bubble wrap.
They can make it out of the useless paper the crypto deals are on.
That's right. Absolutely. Oh, God. All right. On that note, I think it's time for a break. We'll come back with the top 5 in hour 2. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave. All right, we're back. Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto, Facebook and YouTube Live. Great to have you aboard. Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo, Hour 2, top of the hour. Can only mean one thing, the great Jack George and the top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
All righty, here we go. Thank you, Jack. By the way, before we get into the top 5, Rich, a quick little plug for our buddy Jack. He has started a new podcast, Curmudgeony Jack. And it is a podcast, I will tell you right now, he has a very cool tagline. It's available on Apple, Google, and all the other places you'd expect to find podcasts. I subscribed to it recently. I suggest others do the same. Curmudgeony Jack's podcast. Life, music, sports, no traffic reports. And there you go. So check it out.
Oh, remind me later. I've got to subscribe to that.
Yes, check that out. It's very good.
There's another interesting one up there too. We'll have to mention it sometime.
All right, that's right. We will. What is the name of your Kraken podcast?
It is Full Press Kraken.
Okay.
It's on the Full Press Hockey Network.
There you go.
And it is daily and available at 3 p.m. every day.
There you go.
Jack and I have a lot of similar interests.
Yes.
So I think his podcast is going to be a must listen for me.
Yes, I think you guys would, if you guys ever met, I think you guys would get along very well.
Well, next time I'm out there, you're going to have to make that happen.
Yeah, I will. All right, so what do we got for the top 5 today?
And fairly soon, I so need a vacation.
There you go.
Yeah, plus there's a few other eating joints I have to hit.
Yeah, there's a few.
What do I have for the top 5? This is going to be a tag off from yesterday.
Okay.
Except that the 5 worst coaching hires, but it can't be after the fact.
Okay.
Your 5 worst coaching hires you just knew weren't going to work. After the fact, it's easy to say, "Oh, Coach A, Joe Judge was terrible."
Yes.
But ones that you were convinced of as soon as the soon as the ink was dry on the paper.
Honestly, Joe Judge is one of them because there was just no way in my mind that a guy who had virtually no experience as a coach. I mean, he was a bottom of the barrel position coach in New England who doesn't allow their coaches to do anything. That was my biggest concern with that hire was, it would be a weird and concerning hire if you hire some random early 30 something position coach, period. But to hire that guy from a team that is so notorious for not giving their coaches any autonomy or decision-making authority at all made that a guarantee to me that this isn't going to work. So that's definitely, it's funny you use that as an example because there's no question in my mind that's all going to be on the list. Another one that comes to mind, and this won't surprise you either, when the Lakers hired Mike D'Antoni, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't going to happen. Not going to happen. No way.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I didn't think you'd be surprised with that one. That comes to mind right away. I thought it was pretty unlikely that the I'm trying to think that the Timberwolves would have success with Tom Thibodeau. They had more success with him than I was expecting, mostly because I didn't know that that Karl Anthony Towns would ever have the chutzpah to deal with a guy like Thibodeau, and he clearly didn't. So
he also didn't play enough defense for him.
Well, that's what I mean. Thibodeau was driving him, and he just wasn't responding. Let's see. This one's going to sound funny because he was the manager there for like 100 years, but it was only because he was cheap, safe, and, unassuming. But Terry Collins, to me, when the Mets hired him, was the classic definition of hiring a corporate middle manager stooge. Like it was exactly what I expected, which is basically nothing. They weren't ever the worst. They were never really good. They were never really interesting. He never did anything really stupid. He never did anything really good. He just was there. Just like a classic, just wasting time. Just like, yeah, we're just biding our time. And see, when they hired him, I thought they were biding their time for a short period of time. He was there like a decade. And then, like, right when it looked like maybe they were getting ready to actually try to upgrade, they miraculously go to the World Series. And it's like, oh, no, now we're stuck with this guy for another few years. It resets the clock here. So that's
that ended up being biding a lot of time.
God, it was like a wasted decade almost. Like just like, oh, this guy was old when he got here. It's like, come on, man. Let's see. Another one in football that I knew wasn't gonna work was when the Redskins brought back Joe Gibbs. Like he had, I think, one playoff appearance, but it was clear that his approach and his era was not really going to work with the existing crop of guys, and it really didn't. So to me, that was an obvious one going in. Let's see who else. Trying to think in basketball. Anyone that got hired by Isaiah Thomas as Knicks head coach. Pick your guy. Any one of them. It doesn't matter. Larry Brown, Lenny Wilkins, Don Chaney. Pick your guy.
Mike Woodson. Yeah.
Yeah, Woodson gave it the best run of all of them. But Isaiah was gone by then.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, pick your guy. I'll just say Larry Brown. He comes in and he's throwing out his two best players. Like, oh yeah, that's gonna make it better. Let's tell Marbury not to play. Okay, well, he's your best guy. All right, fine. I'll tell Francis not to play too. Well, he's your second best guy.
And they were a terrible match together.
Oh, they were awful together. There's no question about it. I mean, I would have been fine if they even cut Francis, but man, sending Marbury home like that, like I know he was a pain in the neck, but God, he was by far their best player. And it wasn't even close. So anyway, so yeah, pick your guy there. You know who I felt bad for? It's not so much an indictment of him as an indictment of the timing of his hiring, but you knew it wasn't going to work just the same. Was Tim Floyd when he got hired to replace Phil Jackson after the breakup of the Bulls dynasty. He talked about coming into an empty house. The only thing in the house was cat feces. There's no furniture. There's no electricity. There's no running water. They even took the toilet up, but you got the cat poop still left in the house. That's all he came to. I felt bad for him. Talking about getting a raw deal. Tim Floyd with Chicago. Poor guy. Poor guy. What a waste. What a waste.
It didn't affect his ability to go back to college, though, fortunately.
Yes. Now, speaking
because, that was a mess to go into.
What a mess.
He was left with absolutely nothing.
Now, speaking of college, this guy is maybe a slight deviation from the kind of parameters of this question in the sense that I don't know that I knew 100% when they hired him that it would be bad, but I knew real quickly after hiring, I mean, before the end of training camp, that it wasn't going to work. And that was John Beilein going to Cleveland. That fell apart instantly. I don't know that I knew that right from the beginning. Maybe I had some suspicions. I'm always suspicious when college guys go to the pros, particularly long-time college guys like that near the end of their natural coaching
college
career.
Lifer. Yeah.
But I can't
say.
And
not only that, a college lifer who just spent a lot of time at Michigan,
right,
is not the best fit in Ohio either.
Yeah, well, there's that too. Yeah, that doesn't help. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. You're right. But yeah, that one unraveled spectacularly, almost immediately. That was like pretty epic. I mean, you even had Kevin Love in on the Defiance, and Kevin Love is like the easiest guy in the NBA to coach, just about.
Right. Incredible college coach.
Yep.
Wonderful human being. Terrible fit.
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, that was a bomb. That was probably, other than like until Hackett this year in the NFL, that might have been like the most spectacular coaching blow up I've seen in a really long time. That was epic. That really didn't work.
I don't think anyone's tops Hackett.
Oh, that was horrible.
Coach Nate is a category to himself.
Oh, I have one more. Definitely 100% Adam Gase hiring with the Jets. I knew 1,000% this isn't going to work. The guy doesn't know
100%, 1,000%. You're quite sure about this.
1,000. There was no way. He was terrible in his previous job. Like, he made the playoffs, I think, once and whatever. He was but he never really did anything. Then he comes to the Jets, and his first press conference looked like he was on crack cocaine the whole time. And like his eyes were like the size of like watermelons. And I'm like, man, this is a guy that gets credit for making Peyton Manning good. Like, no, you don't get that credit. So to me, that was Hackett reminded me of that. That's what made me think of this. So, all right, there are my names. I'm going to throw Hackett on there too. Although I can't really, I'm not including him mostly because I didn't really know enough about him coming into that job to have these conclusive feelings like I have with these others. So he's not going to make my list only for that reason. Because I have to know going in, okay, this isn't going to work. And I didn't know enough about Hackett to know that going in. Now, let's see. What's my list? Mike D'Antoni with the Lakers. 100% knew that wasn't happening. I think Adam Gase with the Jets is a close second. Trying to think. Take your pick of Isaiah Thomas hires. I'll say Larry Brown.
Okay.
But it really could have been any of them.
You could have done one on Isaiah Thomas hires.
Yeah, I know. It's
the second time we've lumped Isaiah into his own special category.
Hey, if you're not going to be great, be infamous. And he was infamous as an executive, that's for sure. Number 4. I'm gonna go with Tim Floyd, because you just knew like there's no way you could have success there. So it wasn't even like really his fault, but it was. There's seldom been a time where a team was so guaranteed to be that epically terrible. I mean, like, you knew they were losing 60 games that year. It wasn't going to be 50. It wasn't going to be 55 losses. Like, you knew they were losing 60 plus. Like, they were going to be a contender for worst team in NBA history, and everyone knew that going into the season. That's how bad it was.
Right. Right.
So,
and he did absolutely nothing to change that.
They lived up to the expectations, or down to the expectations, depending how you want to phrase that, I guess. So he'd be number 4. And number 5 to me is a tough one. I kind of lean toward Terry Collins, but he was there for so long.
Yeah.
But the whole time
he was blah for so long, but thing. Yeah, he was there.
Who else could we go with here? I mean, Nate Hackett, it would be an easy one to go with, but I didn't know enough about him. You know, a guy you know who I'll go with? I knew that that Lovie Smith was not going to get a fair shake in Houston. Like, that organization's a dumpster fire right now. I knew he wasn't going to get a fair shake. Or how about Jeff Saturday? Yeah, there you go.
You've got about a dozen now.
Yeah, there we go. I'm going to go with Jeff Saturday at 5, though, because that was so clearly, like, not a smart hire.
We had a chuckle when that announcement was made.
We sure did. So there you go. That's my top 5. Number 1 is Mike D'Antoni with the Lakers. Number 2 for me is Adam Gase with the Jets. Number 3 is take your pick of the Isaiah coaches. I went with Larry Brown. Number 4, we're going with number 5 we went with Saturday, and number 4 we went with Tim Floyd of Chicago. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah.
That is my 5.
Good list. A lot of fun.
Oh yeah, a lot of fun. You span the generations too. You know who I also thought of, but I out of respect for you and because he was a great coach at one point, I didn't want to put him on this list. But remember when the Bills brought back Marv Levy for like 5 games, like 15 years ago?
Yes, and they ended up actually bringing him back as a GM.
Yes. Okay.
And it was a disaster.
Yeah, it was. So there you go. Was Levy a coach again at that point, or was he the GM? No. It was the GM. Okay,
just the GM.
Yeah, just the GM. Yeah,
and he had the Ralph Wilson habit.
Yes,
being older and only bringing in people he knew and trusted.
Right,
which is why the Bills were stuck with Dick Duran as a head coach for a couple.
Duran. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. Oh man, you want to talk about plain white toast? After a while, I used to call mid-afternoons nap time at one Bills drive.
Oh, that's funny. That is absolutely hilarious. All right, well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We got some news you can use. We're going to get a quick hockey update. We also have a little bit to talk about as far as some games tonight. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The rest of the way, half hour to go. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
And we're back on the Gary Ayd Show. I'm Rich Anselmo. Gary just stepped away for just a minute or two. It was a very light night in the NHL last night. Just 2 games, only one concerning a statewide team, and that is Buffalo. It's all they had to do was win, and they were in a playoff spot going into the All-Star break. When they didn't, Sebastian Aho, who's on a ridiculous goal-scoring streak, it's up to 6 games now. He led Carolina to a 5-1 road win in Buffalo. They've won 7 in a row, and over the past 11 days, he's played in 6 games and got 9 goals. NHL All-Star Skills Competition is Friday, as the league shuts down for All-Star Weekend. There are some new events here that sound kind of interesting. The Enterprise Splash Shot is going to be on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. It's going to field eight players, divided into 4 teams of 2. Players are required to hit all the targets before attempting to dunk their opponent, the winner being the one to dunk his or her opponents first. The Chipotle NHL Pitch and Puck will have players combining their hockey and golf skills on a par 4 golf hole, featuring an island green. 6 players are going to participate. The winner being the one who successfully sinks the puck/ball into the hole with the fewest shots, using a combination of hockey and golf shots. If there's a tie, the longest drive determines the winner. In the Discover NHL Tandy Tandem, 8 goalies will work in tandems, one shooting and the other in net, and it's going to be the 4 divisions. The shooting goalie from a division will take a shot from a designated mark, will be awarded 3 points if the shot goes in, 2 if it hits the in-net target, and 0 if it misses. The in-net goalie will face 1, 2, or 3 players, depending on points earned from the shooting goalie. Players start from center ice and must shoot on the rush. NHL shootout rules are going to apply. Play continues until all pucks have been shot and is repeated for the second goalie pairing. Goalie tandem with the most points wins.
You talk about
course,
getting creative. Man, they did some interesting stuff here.
They're trying to top what they did last year in Vegas. Of course, you have the fastest skater, the hardest shot, the breakaway challenge, and the accuracy shooting. And the winner of each event gets $30,000. Skills will be held on Friday, 7 p.m. in the Florida Live Arena in Sunrise, Florida. Should be pretty interesting. Joining the skills this year are 5 women's players. Alex Carpenter and Hillary Knight from the U.S., Emily Clark, Rebecca Johnston, and Sarah Nurse from Canada. Former NHL goalie and Hockey Hall of Famer Roberto Luongo will participate as celebrity goaltender in the breakaway challenge.
Nice.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, especially Luongo
That's going to be
back. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Quite interesting.
Yeah, I love it.
We had talked earlier about games to watch tonight. And of course, we concentrated on the Miami Knicks game, which is big. I've seen a couple others that interest me. Memphis at Cleveland.
Yeah, that's an important game for the Grizzlies. I tell you what,
It's an important game for both teams.
The Grizzlies are beginning to concern me. I'm growing concerned about them. Their shooting is kind of regressing. And my analysis of this particular game and the Grizzlies going forward is where they really miss Steven Adams. They've not been a great shooting team all year. They've been about average to slightly below average in terms of numbers. But where they made up for that was Adams has a knack of getting offensive rebounds, and that allowed them to overcome their inefficiencies. That's where they're really missing him. And against a defense like Cleveland, with the front court that they have, that's going to be, I think, even more exacerbated. I'm worried about Memphis tonight. I think this game lines up as a potential real ugly one for them. I could see the Cavs winning this one pretty convincingly, to be honest with you, because of that particular situation I just kind of broke down.
I don't disagree. If the Cavs defense performs as expected, it could be a long offensive night.
Yeah,
for the Grizzlies, and not in a good way.
No, I think it could be ugly. I mean, and the
but
Cavs,
this is important for them to get their offensive mojo back too.
It's a tough team to do it against. They absolutely need to do that. This is a tough team to do something like that against. I mean, because the other thing about the Cavs is they are one of the few teams with the young athletic backcourt to match Memphis's. I mean, so Memphis's normal significant advantage is at best a marginal advantage in a matchup like this, and at worst it's a break even. I mean, Cleveland's combo of Garland and Mitchell is every bit as good as Bane and Morant.
It is.
So, and that's usually not the case. I mean, there's not many teams that can match that.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, I think this is a tough. If this was, we were talking about, if you were the Knicks, who would you want to play in the first round of the playoffs? Before, if I'm the Cavs, I'm sorry, if I'm the Grizzlies. Now they're in opposite conferences, so obviously, unless it was the finals, they wouldn't play each other. But just in a purely hypothetical sense, I don't know that there's a worse matchup for them among other playoff teams than this Cleveland squad. And if you're just talking about player personnel matchups, this Cleveland squad has a lot of the answers to Memphis, I think. They really do. But the one thing too that would concern me if I'm Cleveland though is you're going to get an energized Morant and an energized Bane who's back today after missing the last game. So that's something that you're going to have to be ready for to take that initial punch, so to speak.
Yeah, that's it's a very tough loss to have. I'm really, as you are, concerned about Adams. Couldn't remember his name there for a second.
Yep.
Being out. I am. It's awful. Their team looks so much different. For someone who doesn't score a lot, but does so many things.
That's right.
Their team just doesn't look great without him on the floor.
Yep, it's true.
Any other game tonight jump out at you?
Let's take a look at some of these. I'm sure there's a couple. I mean, that one was easily the best one. The other one that I'm thinking about is Denver and Golden State. Golden State's been playing better of late. Denver,
they're still terrible on the road.
They are. But
they blew a game they should have won last night against Minnesota.
Yes, they did.
So they're on back-to-back road games.
Yep.
In an environment being the road where they don't play well.
The one thing that is working in their favor is during the time period of the last several years when these rosters have both been constructed appreciably the way they are currently, the Warriors' mobility and defensive physicality and intensity in the front court, specifically Green and Looney, has bothered Jokic pretty consistently. So
it has.
That might be an area where it might make this game a little closer. But to your point, and your points are well taken, Golden State this year, awful on the road back to back.
And are we going to see that lineup you talked about?
Yeah, well, lately, not really. I mean, Kerr has not been giving Looney. I mean, he's been playing basically 20 minutes a night, almost on the dot for close to a month now.
I don't know if he's trying to find a spark somewhere else, but they need Kevon Looney for more than 15 to 20 minutes a night.
I agree, particularly against this team, because I think they're going to need to do something clearly to try to slow down Jokic. I guess if I were them, I would be starting Looney. I would be playing a big lineup tonight. I would be starting Looney and Green, and bringing Clarkson in off the bench. But we'll see what they do. A couple other games looking at, Clippers in Milwaukee is interesting. Clippers are playing better of late, so that becomes a more appealing game than it might have been otherwise.
Yeah.
The other games tonight don't interest me really. New Orleans and Dallas.
There's two teams going in the wrong direction.
Yep. Charlotte and
New
Chicago.
Orleans, so much more. Yeah, that's one for the family to miss.
Yeah, you can keep that one. Lakers and Indiana is I'm always interested. Obviously, right now, especially, I mean, LeBron is.
They have identical records.
They do, and LeBron is probably somewhere between 2 and 4 games away from being the all-time scoring leader at this point. I think he's 89 points shy. So, realistically,
And did you see the Lakers ticket prices?
I haven't, but I'm sure they got to be wild. What are they?
Since he's, right now he's 89 points
89
away.
away. So probably 3, maybe 4 games. Probably no more
Two-
than 4 games.
2 games available. The game against the Thunder on the 7th, lowest price about $330. Average price is $1,200. It's almost a 400% increase from the season opener. Against the Bucks on the 9th, the lowest price is $357. The average is a little over $1,300.
I mean, you know what? It makes sense because those are going to sell like hotcakes to people that can buy them.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
If he doesn't get there by Thursday, his next shot Saturday at Golden State.
how big of a deal do you think it is for him to break this at home? Because I don't think it really matters that much. I'm sure the people that the Laker fans want it to be at home because they want, some of them want to be there. But realistically, this is such a monumental, national record that I don't know that it matters all that much in the scheme of the story.
I don't either because it hasn't been his long time home.
Right.
I think it would have meant more if he broke it in Cleveland or Miami, to be honest.
Definitely Cleveland. I view Miami and LA as kind of analogous. I mean, right now, at the conclusion of this season, he will have been at both places for the same length of time.
He was in Miami for 4 years.
This is his 4th year with the Lakers now.
And yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, so anyway, but yeah, no, because I don't even know to that point. You might know this because you were, alive and an adult when this was going on, but I don't know, where did Kareem break the record? Was it home or away? I have no idea.
I don't even remember. It's so seldom talked about.
Right. That's what I mean. I don't think it's important to this type of record. When you break a record like this, I don't think it really matters where you do it. Because it's
Right.
such a top shelf record, like top line record. It's the equivalent to breaking the home run record. Now, in Bond's case, when he broke that record, it did matter because he was viewed as such a pariah. The only place you were going to get a reasonable atmosphere was San Francisco. But that was because of those unique situations. Typically, when a record like this gets broken, like where did Emmitt Smith break the all-time rushing record? It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Records of this level. So,
True.
But yeah, that's I can't wait for this. I mean, this is just something to me that is I feel very fortunate to have lived to see three major records: the home run record, the all-time rushing record, and now soon to be the all-time NBA scoring record. I've been an adult for all 3 of them. To enjoy all 3 at a high level, I think is really fortunate because particularly home run and NBA scoring records, they don't change hands very often. You know what I mean? I mean, literally since Babe Ruth retired till Barry Bonds, there's been 3 guys that have had that record. Period. That's it. It was Ruth,
right.
Then Aaron after 50 years almost? 40 something years. And then after another 40 something years, 35, 40 years, Bonds.
Right.
The fact that I've been alive and old enough to remember one of those, I feel very lucky. You got to experience it twice. With Aaron breaking Ruth and then Bonds breaking Aaron.
Right. Because in that game, TBS carried that game. It was a day game.
Was it Al Downing that coughed it up?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was one of those must-see moments. Everyone stopped what they were doing.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, that's how I'm personally going to feel when LeBron is right there to break this record, but I know that's not how it's going to be consumed overall, which is unfortunate because this is the type of thing that could very well be in the record books for probably 10, 20, 30 years at least. I
A
mean,
while, yeah.
I mean, because I think Durant's going to have a shot at it. The only problem for him is, if LeBron doesn't
Injuries.
retire anytime soon, enough of their careers have overlapped that he's not going to have a lot of makeup time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And he's lost a couple seasons too.
With
So
injuries, right. Yep.
So that doesn't help. I mean, you need really good health to do something like
you
this.
need 20 years of great health and high level play. That's what it takes.
How often does that happen?
Never. I mean, that's why
Right.
That's why the record is what it is. That's exactly the thing. So no, it's a pretty good slate of games. In summary, you got the Lakers and the Pacers, you got the Clippers and the Bucks, Warriors and Nuggets, Memphis and Cleveland, and of course the one we were really focused on early in the show, Miami and New York. So really, out of 7 games, 5 of them are really good. I mean, the only 2 that I don't really care about are New Orleans, Dallas, and Chicago, Charlotte. Especially
Right.
the last one. Oh, what a disaster.
Oh, yeah. That's
If there was one team in pro sports right now that I would be A-okay with just cutting and contracting, it's the Hornets. There's no area loyalty to that team. It's a total college town. And they're never good. You know what's funny about them? I play a lot of NBA 2K and I like to play with the old-time rosters. You can't even play their all-time best player isn't even a 90. They don't have a history either. Who was their best player ever? Zoe for 1 year? Larry Johnson?
when he was healthy, he was their best.
Yeah, Kendall Gill. I mean, it's not a good list. I guess Chris Paul, you could say. Yeah, it doesn't sound.
He wasn't there. He was in New Orleans.
Didn't he start his career in Charlotte? I'm pretty sure he did. Chris Paul. I'm pretty sure they were the Hornets when he first came into the league. But I think I had to double check that. But anyway, let's take a quick break. We'll come back with some news you can use. Wrap it up from here. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch. Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All righty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show, and it's time now for news you can use.
I just looked it up. Chris Paul started his career in New Orleans with the Pelicans in 2005.
Okay.
Played there about 7 years, went to the Clippers,
Yep.
Rockets, and Thunder for a short time, now the Suns.
Okay. got it. So I was off on that one. Okay.
Okay, news you can use. Trey Lance had an interesting comment about Brock Purdy.
Oh.
He said, Brock, he plays the game the right way. That's why he had so much success. I was super excited for him. He worked his butt off, all OTAs since the first day he got here, since the day he got drafted. He deserved everything he got this year and more. I truly believe that.
Wow.
Said he tried to help him wherever he could. He says, I learned a lot from him. He said, and from a human being standpoint, he's a great person, and I see some of myself in that. So it's great for me to have a quarterback room like we did throughout the year. Kudos to Lance, man, for being a good teammate.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is a great thing. And he's right too. They do have I don't know a lot about Trey Lance as a guy. But from that statement he clearly sounds like a high character guy. Certainly I know Jimmy Garoppolo is. He's been around a while now, and
yeah,
we got to see Purdy play more than we've got to see Lance play. So, from all accounts, he's a great character guy too. So Lance's comments come across as not only nice and good taste, but they also come across as authentic and accurate because, yeah, I think they do have a good room. If not the top shelf talent, they got a top shelf character guys and a top shelf coaching staff. So,
and that's going to be the room this year too, because they announced yesterday, the Niners, that they're not interested in bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yep.
Now, with the Seahawks saying that they have no problem if what's their quarterback's name now?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith, thank you. I can't read my own writing. This is awful. If Geno Smith goes out and checks into free agency, it'll be fine. They have no problems with him doing it. He's earned that. Well, if they feel that way, are they looking at Garoppolo?
I mean, I think they would be smart to. You know how I felt about this season Geno had. I think it was a flash in the pan. I think they have to feel that they got the best possible season out of him, and probably more than the best. And I think Garoppolo would be a more stable, more consistently being able to be relied upon when he does play. The problem with Garoppolo, of course, has always been injuries.
Right.
He's always had injury problems. But
which is why I would be a little concerned if Geno left. Yeah, he's probably not going to have the same year, but will he be a complete bust? I don't know. That system might fit for him.
Yeah.
And you'll get 17 games out of him.
Right. Yeah. If I was,
he's never had an injury issue. Well, I think Garoppolo would be an upgrade.
Yeah, I think so. I would rather have Garoppolo than Geno Smith. But I would rather have Derek Carr than either one of them.
Right. Will Carr go to Seattle?
Well, that's what
I think he's looking elsewhere.
He's going to have a choice of suitors. Wouldn't surprise me if Tampa called him. Wouldn't surprise me if things with Tua don't look promising, as Bill Parcells sort of intimated yesterday in the statement you read. Wouldn't shock me if the Dolphins called him. Wouldn't shock me really if a number of teams, maybe the Packers, if Rodgers moves on, although they'll probably go with Jordan Love. They've had him there forever. I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams, I think, that look at someone like Derek Carr. What's Houston's plan? That might be a black hole vortex for Carr, especially because what happened to his brother
I think
there.
They'll draft someone.
Yeah, I mean, but there's going to be a lot of guys, a lot of teams. I mean, if I was Carr, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near Houston because of what they did to my brother.
Right. You were
scars.
talking about Tua. He received a promising concussion update.
Okay.
And he is cleared to do anything now.
Good. Okay.
And I'm glad to hear that.
All right. So Miami's probably off the table then.
There's a lot of places Carr can go. What about Baltimore?
Baltimore's an interesting one, depending what happens with the negotiations with Lamar Jackson.
Because right now, the betting odds for Lamar Jackson, and I saw this in Bleacher Report to give them the props. The Jets are the first place in the betting odds right now where people think he's going to go.
And that's they think who's going?
Lamar Jackson's going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. That would certainly make for an exciting offseason in New York. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, it would.
I wouldn't be too upset about that. All right, what else we got?
Apparently, Tom Brady told his family there was only one other option besides retirement, which, yes, I see now why you believe this is more real. And I think you're right. It was either return to Tampa Bay or retire. He did not consider going anywhere else, even though going home sounded intriguing. He wasn't going to do it.
And he also has the golden parachute waiting for him at Fox. I saw a breakdown, the 10-year contract he signed with Fox that was basically to kick in once his playing career was over, has him on pace to make more money in those 10 years than he made in 23 as an NFL quarterback. Isn't that sick?
I know.
So
that's insane.
So there you have it.
Let's see. We got time for something else?
Yeah, what else we got?
Stranded in an ice storm yesterday in Dallas, the Pistons were unable to fly home to host last night's game against the Wizards, if you're wondering where that game was.
Yeah, I was counting down the minutes to the tip-off of that game.
It was postponed.
Well,
I mean, you get a list of games to do, to do. That was ended up being a wasted one.
Oh, well.
I was in an ice storm in Dallas, and they are interesting. It doesn't get extremely cold in the winter, but it gets cold enough to freeze everything up.
Interesting.
And I think I told you the story about the cab driver down there.
Oh, yes, you did. That was funny. Yeah, that was funny.
People do not know how to handle it, but it happens every year.
All right, what else we got? We got time for maybe one or two more.
You ready for the Las Vegas A's?
I'm getting ready. I'll be
relocation speculations heating up. They're down there seeking out spots.
So that would mean the NBA would be the only major league without a pro team in Vegas. If that would
and they're not ready to open up expansion right now. I wish they would go to 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see 32. I'd like to see Seattle back, and I'd like to see Vegas.
Yeah.
That would do pretty well.
Now, I remember Rob Manfred saying last year the A's would have a relocation fee waived if they move. Well, then why haven't they done it?
Oakland's such a dump. It really is. I mean, not just that stadium, that whole city is a dump. It really is. I mean, and it doesn't have to be that. And that's what the tragedy and the sad part about it is. That is purely, completely user error. Like the people that run that city screwed it up. End of story. Over many decades. I'm not saying it's necessarily whoever the random people are that are running it now, but like the crowd that has run it for the last however many years, decades, has just totally screwed the pooch. That was a beautiful place at one point. It really was. The reason there were so many teams there. You know, there were the Golden State Warriors, there was the Oakland Athletics, there were the Raiders.
But look where they stuck everyone to play.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere.
The Warriors have a much nicer building now to call home.
Oh, yeah.
As do the Raiders.
Yep.
As will the A's if they make this move.
Right.
They that stadium, I mean, it's been there since 1966. It's decrepit.
Yes, it's time to go.
And the A's blame that place for, lack of funds, inability to sign anyone, and just an apathetic fan base. Who wants to go there?
Well, and there's two parts to that. You could blame the stadium all you want, but the fact of the matter is this team never, ever, ever keeps their name players and forget signing any other name players. They don't keep their own guys. And that's a big problem too. And
which would have to change once they move.
I don't know if it would, but you would think it would have to. I agree.
Would have to.
Yeah.
It really would. They're looking at a retractable dome in Vegas.
That would be interesting.
They've got a few potential sites picked out.
seems-
You ain't playing a day game there in July outdoors.
No, that's true. 4,000 degrees out. Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
But it's a dry heat.
yeah.
So's a microwave oven. It doesn't mean I want to live in one.
Yeah. No, it's still hot. All right. Well, that does it for us. We'll be back tomorrow to close out the week. See you then. The Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.